So I stumbled across the video of Tucker Carlson talking with Roseanne, and I knew it was going to end bad. It was like when you try to watch a guy last 8 seconds on a bull. You know it's going to be a rough landing, but you just can't look away. It's like a bad car wreck or a Mike Tyson fight. You know it's going to be brutal, but you just have to watch. So I watched the interview, and it sure as hell was brutal. But Tucker was talking about the moment where he actually became a Trump supporter, the moment that he really became one. And he says, I always agreed with Trump's policies, always. I even lost friends over it. Like he's some ordinary guy, like he expects us to believe he's just some ordinary dude out here just partying with all of his progressive and liberal buddies, and he lost their friendship because he supported Trump. It's ridiculous. But he says, I always agree with his policies, but I never supported anyone because it wasn't my job to support anyone. Oh, really? It wasn't your job to support anyone? Tucker Carlson spent years on Fox News making a career out of pushing every bullshit culture war that they cooked up. This is the guy that told us to be afraid of testicle tanning. This is the guy that said the M&Ms was getting too feminine. This is the guy that worked for Fox News, one of the probably the most lopsided news organization in the history of news. We're supposed to believe that he didn't support right-wing ideology when he was a voice on Fox News? We're supposed to believe that he didn't support anyone, that it was just his job to sit back and watch? While he sat there and pushed every story he could, he demonized Barack Obama every chance he got. Talked about the tan suit. Talked about the troop holding the umbrella. Talked about the Dijon mustard. And talked about Benghazi over and over and over again. We're supposed to believe that he was just looking at things and being reasonable and hearing both sides. We're honestly supposed to believe that's what he was doing all those years. He worked on the most lopsided news network in history and pushed their propaganda. And the only thing more disgusting than watching him go out there and push their propaganda for all those years is watching him now try to rebrand himself like he's just some ordinary guy. Like he's just one of us, and he sees through the corrupt media and the corrupt system. He was the corrupt media. He was the corrupt system. He made a career and laughed his way all the way to the bank. So he don't get a pass from me, and he never will. But he said the moment that I actually became a supporter was when they raided Mar-a-Lago. Because we just can't let that stand. And Roseanne chimes in and she says, oh yeah, we can't let that stand. He said, no, we can't. We can't allow a president to use his regime to weaponize the Justice Department to knock off a political opponent. Oh, really? Because that's exactly what Donald Trump is saying that he intends to do if he's reelected. Do you really suspect that Tucker will call bullshit on that? Do you really think that he will call Trump out and say, oh, no, we can't do that? He said, oh, it wouldn't matter if it was a Democrat. I'd feel the same way. Really? Because your guy's saying it. And let's be realistic for a minute. This was not Joe Biden trying to knock Donald Trump out of the race. Mar-a-Lago got raided because Donald Trump didn't comply. That's what happens when you have possession of something that you're not supposed to have, and they say to you, you need to hand those over. You're not supposed to have those. You give those back to us. When you don't do that and you think you are above the law, or if they say, okay, come out with your hands up, and you don't, you get raided. Ask David Koresh. That's how that works out. So it's not Biden trying to knock off a political opponent, but Trump is saying out loud that he intends to do so, and he says, I don't guess I'd have to have a reason. I'll just do it. And Tucker supports him now. But there's text messages of Tucker talking about how much he hated Trump's guts and couldn't wait for the day that he no longer had to talk about him. But you know what happened? He got fired from Fox, and he realized that people like us was never going to give him a pass. We would always see through his bullshit. So he had to go somewhere. And so he just went back to the grifter. He just fell in line with the grifter, and he can learn how to grift and be one himself. Because, we would always call him out for his bullshit. And he sure as hell wasn't going to double down and say, I hate Trump's guts, because if he did that, he would have had nowhere to go. He would have not had an audience at all, because neither side would have heard him out. But he actually expects us to believe that he just looked at things and he was fair and reasonable, and it was just his job to watch, and he never supported anybody. Let's be realistic for a minute. if suddenly I left the Midas Touch Network. And then I started making videos saying, I never supported Midas Touch. I never said truth is golden. I never said that I stood on the side of democracy. I never made videos supporting Democratic politicians. I never made videos supporting and upholding progressive and liberal ideologies. I never said that. I guarantee you people would be in my comment sections wearing blisters on their thumbs, typing to me and calling me out and saying bullshit. But they will turn around and they'll watch Tucker do that. They know what kind of guy he was. They know the kind of propaganda he pushed. They don't care. They'll give him a pass for it. Why? Because they loved what he said then and they love what he's saying now. Tucker Carlson helped lay the groundwork for MAGA, for Donald Trump. When you sit and push those kind of culture wars and that kind of propaganda with no evidence and no facts to back anything up, you just spread a bunch of bullshit. That is what paved the way for this. And he can try to act like he's some sort of outlaw journalist. No. He was full of shit then and he's full of shit now. And Roseanne was never funny. I never laughed at Roseanne. Me and my grandmother, I was so close with her. I loved my Nana, man. I miss her so bad. But I remember so many times walking in her living room and Roseanne would be on and I'd just keep on going. Because I would rather go to the park and watch grass grow as to watch Roseanne. And I've always felt that way. I've never laughed at her. Until recently when she was trying to, sit and spew all these conspiracy theories. But even that's hard to laugh at when it's so damn sad.